Welcome to Real Life and Archetypes. My name is Marina. So, this is the second part of the archetypal exploration of Game of Thrones. I'm still in episode 1. There's a lot of stuff going on there. And I was watching, and there was a very significant moment. I'm going to jump right into it. This is about Jon Snow. I'm dressed appropriately for Mr. Jon Snow. Let's look at what is going on here. So this is just, a few minutes after what was happening in the last episode that I did. And they encounter some baby direwolves. And of course, Bran wants the direwolf. And look at what is being said here. Their mother is dead. I'm just going to go and continue. They don't belong down here. So mother, family, that's all about belonging. And you're going to see why it's important because we're actually dealing with Jon Snow here. But this is, everything that happens, writers, especially the good ones, as especially based on such an amazing thing as Game of Thrones, everything they put in there has a very specific purpose. It's not casual. It's not a coincidence. It's all, calculated. And it's telling you a lot. So we're talking about lost puppies. They don't have a mother. Their mother is dead, so they don't belong down here. Better a quick death. They won't last without their mother. So just read everything that is being said here. Lord Stark. So this is Jon Snow. I'm going to get myself out of the way here. Lord Stark, which is interesting. So the first time you watch it, you don't really understand who is this guy? Is he a brother? Is he not? So this is what we're finding out here, and very metaphorically, by the way. And Jon Snow says there are 5 pups, one for each of the Stark children. So he's talking like he's not one of them. And he's even saying the direwolf is the sigil of your house. And Bran is looking at his father with a puppy face, by the way. And Jon Snow said they were meant to have them. So he wants to spare the puppies without a mother. Interesting. And now Lord Stark is convinced because, his son is looking at him like the world is going to end. And he's acting now as a father, as a figure of authority who's giving instructions and is instructing responsibility. And he says, you will train them yourselves. You will feed them yourselves. Bran is happy. And if they die, you will bury them yourself. I mean, just remember that just a little bit before, Lord Stark had to do some very difficult thing. He is not in the mood for anything emotional right now. He's pissed. So what about you? Now they each have a direwolf. They have direwolves for all of the children, but not Jon Snow. So Bran is saying, what about you? And this is when we discover that Jon Snow, he's not a Stark. I'm not a Stark, so I'm not going to get a puppy. But it turns out that he finds out that there is another one, the runt of the litter. I had to look up the word because I don't really understand what it means. But apparently it's like the weakest one of the litter. And I can't remember who says that. The runt of the litter, that one is yours, Snow. So this is just, look at that. This is the Rob who's looking at him, and the other one, Theon, is laughing. So the whole thing here, what it's really doing is really preparing the way to show who Jon Snow is. He has no mother, he doesn't belong, and he's not going to make it because he doesn't belong. So Jon Snow has a huge issue here. We don't really understand when we are, first time watching that scene, what is going on. But as people who have watched the show, the issue with Jon Snow is that he is a bastard. In the beginning of the show, The father is Ned Stark, but the mother is, we don't know who that is, okay? So the problem, you have to understand that in that kind of society, in a patriarchal society particularly, he has no place, he has no position, and he has no claim to anything. So this guy doesn't belong and he knows it. So think about for a moment how we always think in terms of, patriarchal society for women. It's just as brutal for also men in some situations. It's just the way that it is in that kind of society. Jon Snow doesn't even have the last name of Stark. I'm not a Stark. He said that in the I'm not a Stark, you see? I'm not a Stark, so I don't belong to this family. He's like this dire wolf that has no mother. Okay, he doesn't belong. And we will see that later when I do, look at all the characters and see what is it that marks them, that describes their hero's journey. Well, for Jon Snow, obviously, it's a journey of legitimacy and belonging. Both of these concepts are actually linked because that's about family and society. And family is supposed to give you that, head start. It's like the practice in smaller environment of who you will be able to become and be in the real world, in the outside world. That's the function of family, to prepare you to become an adult and deal responsibly with the world. So Jon Snow is lost here. He has no roots in terms of claims within the family to anything. And this is what is being shown. This is great storytelling because it's saying show, don't tell, show it. And we're seeing that. So I love that stuff because if you pay attention, you will be able to detect that kind of stuff in real life. There are signs, there are visuals, there are things that are happening that are going to tell you a lot about what is going on inside you just because of the things that are happening outside. It's a really interesting way to look at life. And, I started thinking in that way when I started doing dream interpretations. And I remember that it was something that Carl Jung said, I think. And I was told that every element of a dream represented an aspect of my psyche. It's not about, if you see people, it's not about the person itself, it's about something that has to do with you. And I started thinking as I was going about my life, looking at everything outside in the real world as representing an aspect of me. So as within, so without. It's a very interesting and fun game to play because you start to look at the things that are happening outside as having to do with you. Now, you can take it very far and go crazy, of course, so don't do that. But you can play with it. And this is why I love storytelling and great storytelling. And Game of Thrones is just full of things like that. So again, the first episode is very meaningful because we're discovering, that's a hero, the hero's journey, discovery. We're discovering a lot of things. But when you know and you have watched the show and you pay attention and you come back and you revisit, which, by the way, is a great way to do with your own life. That's what we do when we reflect on things and we start to interpret things in hindsight. We discover greater meaning. And it's like life speaks to us. It's just an amazing scene. And I wanted to show that to you. I will see you in the next episode. Thank you for watching.